Lipitor, 20 milligrams, $272. What you pay, their cost $580, 4,500% markup. Then look at the real big one, Prozac. Prozac, 20 milligrams, cost you $247, cost them 11 cents. 224,000% markup. But they're not the worst of them. The worst of them is Xanax. 1 milligram, 1 little milligram. You pay $136, it costs them 2 cents. They make a 569,000% markup.
We've had a 60% improvement in our production efficiency. We have the cost of Glucodox down to 10 cents a pill.
Wow, it looks like Braden Andrews gave us a great deal. Only 12 bucks a pill on Glucodox.
30 tablets of Glucodox comes to a total of $580.
Well, I don't have that kind of money.
Don't you have insurance?
I got laid off.
There are different studies on how many uninsured poor people there are. The numbers range between 49 million and 67 million. It's a big group. And what makes this even worse is that they are, quite frankly, the only ones paying these very high drug prices, twice as high as in Europe and Canada. The rest of us who are fortunate enough to have insurance, we have a pharmacy benefit manager negotiating drug prices. And you know what? Those negotiated prices are the same as in Europe, the same as in Canada. The only ones that pay these very high inflated prices are the poor, the uninsured. So the fight for what the drug companies call a free market is really a fight to charge our poorest the highest price. And that is immoral.
We've been led to believe that we have the finest medicine in the world. The great medical schools, Harvard and Stanford and Columbia and New York University medical schools, that we have the best doctors, nurses, medicines, medical technology. And in some areas, that's certainly true. But what about the other side of the story? I decided to take a look at what is known as iatrogenic disease or disorder, medically induced. And it's frightening.
I didn't know he'd stopped breathing at first. He was a little fussy that morning. And I noticed that he was very still. I noticed he was still. Then in a matter of, I would say, 10 seconds, that inner panic started in me. Uh-oh, something's wrong. So I did some mouth-to-mouth, established he still wasn't breathing. I checked the air passages. I was starting to get really scared. And then I think sense kicked in, and I drove like a wild banshee. I put the pedal to the floor. I ran red lights, fishtailed into the emergency room, and I handed the baby over to the counter in the emergency room, and I said, please make him breathe again. He's not breathing.
Ellen had called me, and I probably got this call somewhere around noon. And I dropped the phone and sped off to the hospital, and all these people were crowded in this room working on our son.
It was a code blue moment and quite hectic. They put the tube down to help breathe. It kept going in his stomach, and when they pumped the bag, he would become distended.
And everyone was frantic, and no one would tell us anything that was going on. Alan was trying to find out what was going on.
They got him resuscitated. Talking to the doctors, they were saying, well, we think it's sepsis. We're going to take him to the bigger hospital, Florida hospital.
And there we sat, and sat, and sat. And then finally, this doctor, Dr. Ben Getz, he came and got us from a waiting room, and he escorted us into this small room and sat us down.
said, your baby has broken ribs and bleeding on the brain, and he's going to die.
At that point, I immediately lost it, and Alan was just in absolute shock. You know, do we have the right child here? Are we talking about our kid, our son?
I mean, I seriously thought he had the wrong baby.
And this doctor, it was so strange because he was so cold.
At this time, I can see Francine. She grabbed the rails of her chair. And I'm trying to tell this doctor he's crazy. Oh, you got the wrong baby, and blah, blah, blah. And he's saying, no, this is your baby. And we have the x-rays here and this, that, other. We need to know what happened. And at that point, that was about the first air of suspicion that I felt.